Good morning again, my friends. I'm always doing something that's not anything that respectable wood turners do. It's only me, I think. Behind me is a sneak preview of what today's turning is. So you want to see how it's done? Stick around. I'm sure that it will be at least interesting.
Thank you, YouTubers. Subscribe to his channel. See you soon.
Good morning, my friends. Well, I hate to start my opening this way all the time, but you know, I have a good selection of wood, both outside, some stuff rotting away, some still green, some not in great shape. Today, oh my God, today. All right, but back up. Outside, from a long time ago, I had picked up a couple of pieces of Norwegian pine, and I made some vases out of the Norwegian pine that came out pretty good. The first ones I did were blonde in color. It was okay. It's like I was, you know, okay. But I did some segment rings in between, so it added a little bit of interest to it. About a month later, I decided to turn another piece of that log, and that was a completely different story. The spalting had taken into it and it created some really, really amazing spalting going through it, almost like flame work going up the piece. And since then, I've had one log out there, about 12 inches high, 10 inches, 8 inches diameter, and it's been sitting out there for 7 months or so. And today I went to it because I want to do today's project with it. And I was hoping that the bark was still intact. Now, if you don't know, Norwegian pine is probably the only wood that does not check on you. So if you get a Norwegian pine log and you leave it outside, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be splitting up on the ends. It stays that way. So that's just a little information for you. But anyway, I went to the log, and needless to say, the bark had completely separated. So it's like, oh, okay, I'm not going to be able to do exactly what I was thinking of. But this thing's disgusting. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. So don't fringe when you see this piece. I have this piece of a log. It's Norwegian pine. I just cut it up more or less to a manageable size blank of what I want. And it has all these growth sticks coming out of the edge. It's like, oh my God. First thought, first instinct, it's like, okay, I should bring this to the bandsaw and cut up all these twigs. So the plan, call me crazy now, the plan is I'm going to leave these as being part of the bowl. And what I want to do is an end grain bowl out of this. And I want to set it up in the lathe in a way that by the time I start turning this, I'll be coming very close to all the tops of these branches. Now I could take it to the bandsaw and probably cut it up and wiggle it in there, but this is not a safe piece for me to run on a bandsaw, try to cut it. And if it goes crooked, then I might ruin the piece. So I'm better off putting it to the lathe to the pitch of where I see these sticks all hitting diagonally and start chewing up the face. And if I'm seeing that I'm a little bit off, well, I can take it off axis a little bit to adjust before I get all the way down. Once I have the top flat meeting up with these twigs that are going through, I might shave them just a little bit. Might. Well, I might leave the whole branch, the whole thickness of the branch, and just the way it is. I don't want these branches to look like they were fresh cut. I don't want to do anything with these branches other than the fact that they will be stuck as part of the bowl, a bowl in itself. So let me bring it to the lathe and show you exactly how I'm planning on starting this. Establish as that going to be my center, because I don't know where my center is going to be, because I'm going to have to play with this a little bit until I have it established. Once I have that established, then I'll create maybe a mortise on this side or a tenon, because this will be in between centers and I can't remove the center while this is just on the spur drive. So I'll make a tenon over here and then mount it up and do all my outside work, create a tenon on the back side of it, and then reverse it and hollow up the inside. Yeah, it sounds complicated, doesn't it? I hate making things complicated for anybody, and I hope that the process of this turning will explain somewhat my madness behind this. But anyway, I urge you, take cautions, don't go fast if you do anything remotely close to this. Now, all of these are not necessarily in a parallel line. You can see that these are a little closer to the top of the stump, and these are further back. So the ones that are further back, I can see that, you know, the piece wants to swing down that way or from the back up a little bit. And it's not going to be possible for me to get them all equal, because all of these stagger up and down. But I want to get it close enough that maybe I can maintain these as the tops. And like I said, I don't know if that's going to be possible. Okay, I want to swing it out where these two get a little closer to me. And those two will always be the furthest two away from this. Especially this one. This one aims down. But that's actually pretty good right there. So what I want to do right now is hold this in place, release the pressure so I can bring my tailstock in a little bit, not move that. Just bringing my tailstock a little bit closer so I can apply pressure to this. Okay, now apply pressure and it starts digging itself up into the back side of this. Now, if I wanted to balance this off a little bit, because this is rather heavy on this side, I got, I don't know, 4 inches on this end, 5 inches on this end, and I got 4 inches on this side. So the whole piece is pretty heavy on the back end of this. So if I took a sawzall, or a handsaw, and cut a little bit of this chunk, the piece would be a little bit more balanced. So if you have a lathe that its slowest speed is 600 RPMs or something like that, you know, that's a step that you're probably going to need to do. Get this a little bit more balanced, because this thing is going to rock and roll a little bit around your shed. Now, I'm going to slow this down to 320 RPMs. Or 310 RPMs. That's the slowest my lathe will go, but that's an acceptable speed. Part of the reason why I'm back on the Atlas is the fact that I do have that slow speed, where I don't have that option on that red lathe. That red lathe, the slowest speed is I think 500 RPMs, and that's it. You know, you set it up to that slow speed, and that's an acceptable speed for the general turning. When you're turning something that's fairly balanced, and you know, you're not so worried about the, being so off balance with the piece like I am right now. So I'm going to stand out of the way, that's on forward, and see what this thing looks like. And you can see it's not bad. The lathe is not bouncing too bad, but I have to make small cut. Now the one thing I'm seeing is that I'm long here, okay, and short, a little shorter on this side. And ideally I would like to maintain about the same distance on this, but I think that because I'm just flattening up this area, I think that once I have it flattened up, I still have the luxury then maybe of shifting it over a little bit and still maintaining that. Or, if I'm close enough, I feel I'm close enough, then I will just work and, like I said, make the mortise on this back side over here. So let's see how it goes. Barely taking any wood out of this. Barely touching. I'm in no rush to get this cut up. Not at this point. I will be aggressive once I have on the shop. What I need. You can see that I'm hitting this, but not this, not these. Far away from here, but hitting this one. So there's no way I can adjust this any closer than this to get them all to hit. So I'm going to play with this idea. I might come from the bottom once I do the bottom and just maybe leave these top spikes. I don't know yet. I don't know what kind of effect, and I might end up by chopping them off. The goal is to leave them and see how that's going to look. And as you can see, I have a lot of tear out on this, so I'll have to do some serious work to finalize this. But at this point, I'm ready to make a tenon so I can reverse chuck this. So I got my pointed tool over here, which gives me the correct bevel for my tenon. Now this is somewhat funky and a little soft, so I'm hoping that it holds up. Now, to help me out on making sure that I can keep this tenon on, I'm going to saturate that with thin CA. I'm going to let it soak in, and that should harden up this whole tenon area so I'm not squeezing it out and it come right off from the jaws. Doing a simple step like this could help you out quite a bit in the long run. I didn't put a lot, just enough to saturate and get in here, and this should be able to form, keep those fibers together and make it a harder shell so I can turn it. Be back in a couple of minutes, give that enough time to dry. Maybe 5 minutes or so. Okay, I'm back. This has had a little while to dry up, actually longer than it needed. I took a little break from the lathe. So, at this point, basically ready to install it into my jaws. I've been asked, how do I come up with my designs? And as a matter of fact, Bram's Shed just posted that question upon me. I don't design my pieces beforehand. Most of the time, I let the piece of wood dictate what it wants to be. The vases I did from sea grape, and every time that I look at the big one, the first one that I did, which has a touch of burl per se. Every time I look at that face, I always visualize that as like, oh my God, I should have made as a bowl out of that, the end grain, and not necessarily a vase. Now, it looks awesome as a vase, but it's just that you see something, you visualize things slightly different. So, and that's kind of the idea that is generating this one. I want a bowl from end grain coming up. Generally, when we do on bowls, we split a log in half, we put two halves up, or we, you know, generally that's how we work on bowls. On this particular case, I want to work it from the end. So this is going to be the base of the bowl, and the top will maintain with all these sticks, hopefully. And, you know, I don't know, I really don't know how well it's going to look when all said and done. I have an idea, but like this one, I really am not sure, because this nub is already out of here. This one has rotted away and broke prior to me starting. You know, I don't really know how it's going to look. But I will work it up to that point, and depending on what's happening with it and how thick this edge is and whether if I'm even going to like it or not, then I'll make a decision and say, okay, I'm going to chop these off, but regardless whether if I keep these on or not, I know that this piece is going to have some real interesting character around these knots that I hear. So I might chop it off, lose this effect, but I will gain another effect that is not the area that I'm aiming for, but it's in there. So, well, so I'm going to let this one develop as it goes along. So I'm going to speed this up to 600 RPMs. I'm going to bring the live center back in while I'm roughing the majority of this, because this is still somewhat off-balanced piece. So there's no sense being superhero here. We don't want to be superheroes. We just want to work safe. You know, we can be adventurous, but we still have to work safe when all the time, as a matter of fact, not whenever. We just have to take all the extra precautions we can while we're doing our work. Now, generally, this is my grandson's job, Elias. As you know, that I've been bringing him out to the shed, and hopefully he will keep the interest on this of wood turning. But he's only 6, and you know, there's a long ways for him to go to really to show if he really does want to keep up with it or not. I think it might be just a short-lived thing. I hope not. Got to think of who will take over my I don't want to say legacy, because this is not a legacy. This is just a passion. You know, wanting to have somebody that will continue with somewhat of a passion for this art, and I hope it's something that he keeps up on. This amazing hobby. Oh, you know, some of you have been following me from day one, I guess. Mike Walt, for one. I watched his videos almost religiously. I mean, that's the first wood turner that I actually seen on YouTube. Prior to doing wood turning, I mean, you know, my interests were trying to figure out how to get how to make animations and stuff like that, and prior to that was oil painting. And then it came to a point that I could not do any serious wood painting, and I ran across a video from Mike Walt doing a goblet. That was the first wood turning that I've ever seen. And that was about 14 months ago or so. And he did that goblet, and it put the interest in me that it's like, oh my God, I gotta find myself a lathe. Well, I'm pleased. Not a great finish. The wood still has some moisture in it, so unable to really get that wax to come through and shine. But it's okay of a finish. I don't have a problem with this. Here it is, Norfolk pine bowl made from end grain. The bottom, this ring over here is actually from a live center without the little point piece on it. So it actually creates a ring. So I have that deeper ring and a lighter one out here, and that works fine. The spalting spiring out because here's the pit. The pit was slightly off center on the tree, but it spirals off from there, giving you beautiful effect. The branches coming up all the way around this perimeter really adds a nice touch to the whole piece. You know, what I say is never be afraid to put a piece of wood up on your lathe if you can mount it up securely. Go slow. Keep your lathe at a slow speed until it's well balanced, and you will be amazed at some of the beautiful things that you will discover that are just hidden in there waiting for you to come and explore. So my friends, explore your wood and find the beauties that are within them. Thank you for watching. If your first time, don't forget to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Link the videos to your friends. Yeah, it's a huge world out there, and never know what if they like what they see from my channel or not. And come again. I know there will be something exciting. You know, I playing around a little bit and trying to come up with a different intro into my movies rather than me just yakking away. I decided to make a little cartoon character of me, my grandson Elias alongside of me, and since I always play the same music in the back, I hope you're not tired of it. Please leave comments on that as well. But I play Portuguese music in the background, Furtado, a lot of it. So I decided to put a musician as well, strumming an acoustic guitar in my intro. So my idea was going to be to kind of modify the intro into each and every one turning that I do. So that creates a large amount of work to be done for each particular one. So what I decided to do is do a general intro, and for every video what I will do is just he will say the same introduction line, which is the hard part, introduction line, but behind him, behind the cartoon character, there will be a live presentation of the actual piece that I'm making. And the video, the cartoon introduction will be introducing the piece that's going to be running. So I hope you like that touch. I might occasionally just change their clothing a little bit, clothing color, and that's an easy fix as well, so it doesn't become the same, you know, everyday type thing. So there will always be a little bit modification to it. So, you know, I think it will be a nice touch. It will be a little easier on me than modifying the whole set. You know, putting them in a different environment and, you know, type deal. So, I hope it's a liked intro into my videos. I hope you like it, and if you do, leave a comment down there as well. Say, hey, I like the intro, I don't like the intro, or the intro is too long or it's too short. Hey, you should do the whole scene with there. And believe me, this thing's going through my head on how could I incorporate that a little bit further. I'd love to bring the cartoon character right inside my shed, alongside of me. Seeing if I can do something like that every once in a while. You know, gotta make it entertaining. I like to think that I entertain a little bit as well as show some something different. And it's like, where in the world did he get such a crazy idea? Oh my God, I would not put a piece of wood like that on my lathe. You know, how do you visualize the inside? I don't visualize in a lot of time. Like a piece like this, I started with one idea, but I knew it was questionable, but I knew what it was going to look like with these nuts one way or the other. I purposely put these nuts coming to the outside. That was the whole goal behind this piece. I would hate to see all those nuts just being hidden in a small piece like this. They would have looked cool as well if they were running through the center of the bowl as well. But the piece that I started off with, they were already at the top edge. So I oriented the piece to do this. And a lot of times I put something up and I don't know where I'm going to go with it. And I start gouging it out, and I'm thinking of maybe as the gouge is cutting into the piece, I am visualizing and pursuing and following that direction, that I was beginning to see something that was going to be a likable shape. And sometimes it's not. You know, if everything I turned was likable, boy, you know, I don't know. But no, sometimes I will start shaping. It's like, oh, I went in the wrong direction. That's not where it wants to go. And I will correct it again and modify that again and continue. But while I have wood on that lathe, I don't give up just because I started with an idea and the idea doesn't look good and I take it off and discard it. I start with an idea. If the idea is not developing to be good to, you know, pleasing to me, I continue and modify that idea until I come up with something that, in fact, I like. And that's my approach to my wood turning. Well, thank you again. Sorry for the rambling, but it's always exciting for me, and I never know when to shut up over here. So. Take care.